Joined by my colleague, James Berniking, who is the Innovation Programs Manager for the Lehigh NasdaqCenter, also based in California. And our mission is to educate, connect, and inspire the next generation of global entrepreneurial leaders. So today we're going to talk about what it means to be an entrepreneurial leader and how you can really cultivate the mindsets and skills to go out and create impact in the world. Regardless of your career path, what your major or discipline is, everyone has the opportunity to be an entrepreneurial leader. So we're going to dive into what that means today. And this is designed to be an interactive workshop. So please, keep your cameras on if you're able. Unmute yourselves and share when I invite you to do so. And we really do look forward to learning from you this morning. But before we get started, I'm going to share a little bit about myself because I'm going to be asking each of you to share about yourselves throughout this workshop. So something that we're going to talk about in this workshop and in the context of entrepreneurial leadership is knowing who you are as an entrepreneurial leader. So that's understanding things like, what are my values? What are my strengths? What do I care about in the world? What's my purpose? So to give you a little bit of a sense of who I am, so my core values are family, education, authenticity, adventure, and impact. And for me, those show up across both my personal and professional life in a variety of ways. And there are some pictures here that kind of represent my values and my purpose. So hopefully each of you will go and connect with me on LinkedIn, and you'll see on my LinkedIn profile that the first sentence is this purpose statement that also pulls in my values and what I care about and the impact I want to create in the world. And that is, I'm an entrepreneurial leader and strategic thinker with bold ideas and relentless execution, passionate about inspiring others to reach their greatest potential through education and authentic leadership. So today, again, we're going to dive into an interactive workshop on entrepreneurial leadership. And to get started, let's talk about what is entrepreneurial leadership. So I'm curious, perhaps by a show of hands, who would consider themselves today to be an entrepreneurial leader? Raise your hand if you would consider yourself an entrepreneurial leader. All right, don't see too many hands going up there. Okay, who would consider themselves on the pathway to entrepreneurial leadership? Anybody? Any hands? Okay, fabulous. I see more hands going up. That's what I love to see. By the end of this workshop, I want all of you to raise your hand because I think it's really important that you don't have to wait for a formal position or a title to be an entrepreneurial leader. You can start practicing that today, and we'll talk more about that. So to get us warmed up, and I'm sure you've all had a chance to get to know each other through the various career cafes, but we're going to create breakout rooms now, and we want you to discuss what you believe entrepreneurial leadership means. So we're going to do this again in breakout rooms, and in your teams, I want you to discuss first what you believe are the core attributes of an entrepreneurial leader. And James, if you'll advance to the next slide. Fabulous. Okay, so right here are the instructions for the breakout rooms. I think James will also post them in the chat window for you as well. So again, first, discuss what you believe are the core attributes of an entrepreneurial leader. There are no right or wrong answers. And then talk about, together amongst your group, talk about and identify an individual that you believe exemplifies entrepreneurial leadership. And then why? What are the 3 to 5 entrepreneurial leadership characteristics or traits that you believe this individual embodies? So we're going to give you about 7 minutes in your breakout rooms to do this, and then we'll bring you back and we want to hear from you. So when you come back, we want you to share who you chose as your entrepreneurial leader and why. What were the key characteristics or traits that made you identify this individual? So any questions before we go into breakout rooms? Looks like we have a couple hands raised, but I don't know if that's just from earlier. Okay. All right. I think it looks like we are good to go. And if you do have any questions, comments, throughout this session, feel free to use the raise hand function. If you want to post a comment or a question in the chat function, please feel free to do that as well. All right, so we're going to send you away to your breakout rooms for 7 minutes and discuss these 3 items, and then we'll bring you back to do a share out. And this might be a good place to pause the recording.
Sure.
Unmute yourself. Participate in the breakout rooms. That way you can be interactive. So let's hear a share out from the different groups. Anyone who's willing to share, go ahead, use the raise your hand function. And I would love to hear what you thought were the key attributes of an entrepreneurial leader and someone that you chose in society that you believe sort of embodies this entrepreneurial leadership. So is it Harsh? Am I pronouncing your name properly?
Yes.
Okay, would love to hear. Please share.
Okay, so number one, I think I've discussed a few. I'm just going to go through them real quick. Willingness to move forward. You have to have assertiveness and a sort of, strength to tackle your hurdles. And interpersonal skills, really important to communicate your goals and ideas to people. Being proactive, really important. And on top of that, I feel like being open-minded to opportunities, knowing yourself, and looking to move forward is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Persistence and willingness to move forward, especially in the face of challenge, key attributes of entrepreneurial leaders. And who's the individual in society that you chose? You named a couple. I love the last one you named.
Yes, so I would also like to add my father. He's a very big influence in my life. I see him always moving forward, always trying to keep his family together. And really, some few entrepreneurs are Elon Musk, as I said. He had a lot of failures, and he's a very generic yet the most appropriate one to pick. So that's all from
Excellent.
my side, I feel like.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Those are all wonderful examples. All right, who's next? Is it? I apologize if I don't pronounce this properly. Is it Van Shaw?
Well, now it's one church.
Okay.
So,
Would you like to
first of
share?
all, good morning to you. It's evening right here in India, but good morning to you. So, I'd like to add the greatest qualities an entrepreneurial leader can have. So, to begin with, I'll say an innovative vision. An innovative vision is completely necessary in any entrepreneurial leader we see. Then, the leader should have an oratory skill in order to communicate his ideas with his teams as well as the consumers. Then the leader should have a risk taking ability. See, as and when the standards change, well, you live in California, so you have quite an idea of how the standards change over the years. So as and when the standards change, the leader should not be afraid to take the risks of to take the risks that are involved. Then I believe the leader should give the consumers what they want. And to conclude, I'd like to say the leader should have failure handling capability.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Yeah, so I heard, vision, risk taking, failure competence. Definitely, those all show up on the list of entrepreneurial leadership traits. And how about who's somebody in society that you identified as an entrepreneurial leader?
Well, for me, it's got to be Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for sharing. Okay, next up, is it Ujval?
Yes. So, like, I would share some points, and I will let some of my friends share some points. So, a lot of them are covered by others, but one thing which I think is good at making decisions. So he or she must be very good at making decisions. They can't just be like, okay, like an MCQ, I can just fluke and I will just tick it. They have to be very concentrated on how it is going, what is the problem there. I will pass on to Vishika.
Great.
Thank you, Ujjwal. So the person we basically chose was Ratan Tata, who is the current CEO of the Tata Corporation. And the entire thing that he does more different than other entrepreneurs, and the reason he's so successful, is that he stays true to his values. No matter what, he will stay true to his values. And another thing that he does is that he chooses employees wisely. In fact, the Tata attack that happened like a couple of decades ago, none of the employees, it was a terrorist attack, that none of the employees left the premises and took care of the guests in the face of danger. And that is what he does differently.
Wonderful. I love that. And we'll talk more about both of those aspects of staying true to your values and also the ability to build a team. Both super important in entrepreneurial leadership. So thank you for sharing. Is it Adish?
Yes, ma'am. So I agree with all, but I just wanted to add on that a good leader should have a ability to communicate with all his members so that they could work at a good speed. And as Harsh Bhaiya said that his or her intention should be straightforward, that it should be always be looking forward, not just stop at one thing. They should try making more and more progress so that company moves ahead.
Wonderful. Love that. Thank you. Is it Nithya?
Yeah. So most of the points are already covered and they're beautifully covered, but I just want to add on to become a really efficient entrepreneur leader, the leader should have good communication and listening skills as well. So, they can communicate very efficiently amongst the team members, and also they're able to clearly articulate their ideas, and also to levy a good effect on their employees. What they do, the employees will lead by example. They will have to have like a wholesome pack of efficient skills that might include critical thinking, problem solving. Because these skills are one of the most important skills in 21st century. And these skills, the one who will take their innovative vision to a really next level. And also it requires a tremendous self-belief in oneself that, yes, I'm gonna thrive. This will be another term. It will, like a successful entrepreneur should have the confidence gained from the years of experimenting, from years of failing and learning, and this will levy an effect on the employees further down. So a lot of other skills are already shared, and I'm really excited for the journey.
Wonderful. Very beautifully said. I feel like you all could teach this workshop, or you may have seen my next slide, because you're really nailing some of the key attributes of entrepreneurial leadership. So we have two more, and then we'll move on. So is it Mahak?
Yeah, that's correct. So the core attributes I think an entrepreneur should have, along with the points other added, is like work ethic, the willingness to take a risk, having a clear vision, and should be organized, and the person like we admire, like, or see as a entrepreneur, which we could learn from, is Gary Vaynerchuk. He is an American Belarusian entrepreneur, and the things I like most about it, and it is something we all could learn about, is the perspective toward life, having gratitude and the work ethic, because like if we combine like all these things which I've mentioned, we could achieve whatever we believe, and having the willingness to sacrifice some parts of life to achieve something great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And is it Akshat?
It's Akshat. Thanks. Yeah, my brilliant friends have covered most of the points. What I wrote different was an entrepreneur should have creative power, that he should be able to spot opportunity where others cannot, and he should be fluid. He can change according to the situations he is in, and he can modify his plan of action, right, like that. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. All right. Well, thank you to each of you who shared. So, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the traits that we've identified in entrepreneurial leaders. So, James, if you can pull up the next slide. And as you all will see, many of you named the key traits on this list. You'll see in a moment as we go through it. So, the first key trait of an entrepreneurial leader is that they know their values and their value. So, they know what they believe in the world and what they care about, and they also know their value, what their strengths are and what they can offer this world. And we'll talk about both of those today in this workshop. The next trait of an entrepreneurial leader is that they have the ability to establish trust through consistency in their words and actions. So many of you talked about communication as a key trait. The ability to have open, transparent, ongoing communication is really important in establishing trust as an entrepreneurial leader. The next entrepreneurial trait, which you also mentioned, is this idea that they're mission driven, right? They have a vision, they know what they care about in the world, and are driven by this larger purpose. And they're also able to set this clear mission, and through their communication, inspire others to join them. The next trait, also mentioned by a few of you, is the ability to build a team. Bring the right people on the bus. So once you've inspired other people to join you in this mission, building the right team in which everyone is on the same team, they're aligned to the same goals. And as one entrepreneur, Joel Peterson, says, they're climbing the same peak. So the ability to build a cohesive team, super important. So the next trait, also mentioned, is the ability to recognize opportunities to create value. So encountering problems, and rather seeing those problems as barriers, you see them as opportunities to create solutions that matter to others. And then the sixth trait is the ability to apply creativity and innovation in their work. So having that creative and innovation mindset in everything that you do is an important trait of an entrepreneurial leader. Also mentioned was this idea of having self-efficacy or confidence and believing in your ability as an entrepreneurial leader to execute whatever tasks are at hand. The next trait is that entrepreneurial leaders are resilient. They take risks, they embrace failures. When they fail, they move forward. Harsh, this is one of the things that you talked about, right? This idea, like Elon Musk, in the face of adversity, you keep charging forward and you take risks and you have this sort of failure acceptance, which is certainly something that is very common in the Silicon Valley ecosystem. And then number 9, so entrepreneurial leaders never stop learning and growing. They're curious, right? You ask good questions, you're open to feedback, and I think importantly, entrepreneurial leaders are also humble. You don't always know everything, so it's important to surround yourself by other people who can help you be smarter and build you up, and that you can learn and grow from them as well. And then finally, so important, is the ability to execute and deliver results. So at the end of the day, what are you producing? What are the outcomes? What are the results? And then how do you talk about them? So the ability to execute and deliver is really key. And something I really want to underscore is that if you look through this list, you don't have to be the founder of a company to be an entrepreneurial leader. Certainly there are many amazing entrepreneurial leaders who are founders, CEOs of some of the world's best startups. But there are also amazing entrepreneurial leaders that span a variety of fields and disciplines. Recently in a workshop that I ran, one student mentioned Michelle Obama, right? So there's a variety of entrepreneurs in a variety of fields. I consider myself to be an entrepreneurial leader. And I think as long as you are practicing some of these key attributes in any work that you do, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's a job, or you might even think about in a family context, you have the ability to be an entrepreneurial leader. So now we're going to dive into the workshop interactive component of this session, and I'm going to ask each of you just to get comfortable, sort of embrace this opportunity to dive in, reflect on things that are important to you. And James, I'll ask you to move forward, and let's see if you will pull the slide up, and then we're going to share with you a slide deck that you all will be able to follow along yourselves. This is something that you can create a copy of. You can either, take notes on your computer, on a notepad, if you want to directly type within the document, totally up to you. I'll pause for a second as James is going to post it in the chat. There we go. So if you want to go ahead and click on that and pull that deck up if you're able, we're going to walk through a few exercises for the remainder of our time together. So this first exercise, I'm going to give you a minute just to get that deck pulled up. And once you do, I actually want you to forget about the deck for a moment and set it aside. And I just want you to put everything down, like forget all the distractions, get comfortable, put both feet on the ground. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and follow along with me as we do a visioning exercise. We're going to think about your 80th birthday and a legacy toast that you're going to write to you from a friend, loved one, or colleague. But first, to get started, let's close our eyes and just imagine. Imagine it's your 80th birthday. You are surrounded by your friends, colleagues, loved ones at a party in your honor. It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, and you are exactly where you want to be. There's so much to celebrate today. You've lived a good life, filled with all the things that matter to you most. You've made a difference in the world by leveraging your passions, your unique strengths. And although you're not entirely sure how you got here, you know it had to do with hard work, determination, a network of people who supported you, a little bit of serendipity and luck, and a series of choices that led you to where you are today. You've had your share of successes and failures, but through it all, you learned and grew along the way. You've lived a good life, and today you celebrate your life with the people you collected along your journey. Now, it's time for your friend or loved one to make a toast in your honor. What do you want them to say as they reflect on and celebrate a life well lived? This is your day. This is your future. What do you want your legacy to be? Just imagine. I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and take a moment to just fill the room with your vision. What did you envision in your mind as you were thinking through being at this 80th birthday and celebration of you, and as someone is toasting you, what were they saying? So I want you to take a few minutes and actually write out a birthday toast to yourself, from a friend, a loved one, a colleague, you choose, and write out the birthday toast as you envision it. What would you want them to say? We'll take just a couple more minutes if you'll finish up writing out your birthday toast, and then I would love to invite a few of you to share. All right, looks like a few of you might still be writing. Is anyone done and willing to share some of the highlights from their birthday toast? Harsh?
Okay, so thanks for calling me on. I would like to just give a short premise that I envision myself to be a philosopher for some reason now. So I wrote a couple of books, and these are very helpful to a lot of people. It was really insightful to the world of philosophy. So here's what I wrote. Harsh, you told us things a lot of us weren't aware of. You were a good educator, a philosopher, and a good husband. Your books impacted many during their times of confusion. And being the philosopher that you are, I want to give you this treat for helping us understand each other and making an impact on the world of philosophy.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So, had you thought of yourself as a philosopher before?
Never.
Never.
It just came when I tried to envision myself. I realized that I want to put my insights because my mind is on the move a lot. And I feel like I come up with a very cool insights a lot of the times, and I feel like writing them down on the book. But I never actually envisioned myself such as a philosopher.
Yeah. Well, I heard some really, important things in your toast, like the impact you made on the lives of others, and you were a good educator, and you created and shared new knowledge. So, yeah, hold on to those. And for each of you in your birthday toast, I think it's really important to reflect on what are some of the key values that came to life. What are some of the key elements of the birthday toast, and what might that mean? I did this exercise about 6 years ago. And I actually still have my birthday toast, and I like to look back at it and read and see how I'm living into that potential today. So it's hopefully you'll keep this with you. So would anyone else like to share? Ujval?
Yes, ma'am. So I envision myself as a chef in my future. So it was like my toast would be like that. Oh, my dear friend, I remember you as a nerd at the school who was chef now. A drastic change, if I must say. We met 74 years ago, and now we are 80. I love his food, and I'm grateful to have such a friend. I'm honored. You are Wolfgang Puck of India. Like he's my inspiration.
Amazing. That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Look forward to sampling your food someday, chef. All right. Would one more person like? Anyone? Oh, we have Bharat and then Preety and then Nithya.
So I envision myself as an entrepreneur when I'm 80. So throughout my life, I've been an entrepreneur. So as a friend, I've written that, Dear Bharat, happy 80th birthday. You have been an incredible friend to me. Throughout your life, I've seen you as a hardworking, responsible, and a risk taking person. These attributes have helped you run a successful company for 40 years. Today, you inspire me and all the people in this world that we should never give up, no, and keep trying, no matter how many times you fail. We fail. This company will always be your legacy. So, yeah.
Wonderful. I love that. Thank you for sharing. All right, Nithya and then Preety.
So yeah, it's my 80th birthday, so my friend is giving a toast to me. Oh, dearest Nithya, what a beautiful friend you've been to me. Your life inspires me to the innerest core of my heart. To the finest personality as you are, you have blossomed as a beautiful individual along the way, and I appreciate like whoever. I appreciate your flaws, your everything that you embody in yourself. Being an entrepreneur, your journey hasn't been like easy as a piece of cake. You've embodied such incredible things that you have drastically made a difference in people's life because of your company, and you are an inspiration to all of the women around the world. Be as you are, be beautiful personality as you are, and just go along with your amazing skills of determination, never your endless resilience, your beautiful mindset, and keep inculcating that in your mind. You have been an incredible person, and be as you are forever. Someone,
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. I love that. Be who you are. That's
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Preety. Did you want to share?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I have written that finally we bid our farewells to a loving friend who chased after her dreams till the end and became a successful architecture. Yeah, that's
Wonderful.
it.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll move on to the next exercise. So, is it Vashika?
Yes, ma'am. So the Dosa road is from the point of view of my childhood friend, and so yeah, hopefully we still know each other around even before 80. So it goes around 67 years ago. You made a bet that you won't make it past the age of 18, and thank God you lost it. You made it so far as poet, as a writer, helping millions of people all over the world and making a buttload of money on the way, just like you promised yourself you would. And yeah, thank you. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Well, thank you to each of you for participating in that visioning exercise and for sharing some of your birthday toasts. So, in our next exercise, and I'll invite James to pull the slide back up, and you're welcome to follow along in the slide deck that we shared with you as well. So, as we talked about, entrepreneurial leaders know their core values and they stay true to those core values and beliefs. So, I want you to take a moment to think about what you believe is most important in the way you live, in the way perhaps you work or go to school. What are your core values? And think about what are some of those values that showed up for you in that birthday toast. So there's a list here of values that you can read from. This is not a comprehensive list, so if there are values that you know to be true to you that aren't on this list, go ahead and write them in. So, for example, one of my top core values is family. And so I always incorporate family as a core value in my list of 5. So take a few moments now to reflect and write down. I know it might be tough, but pick your top 5. It doesn't mean you only have 5 values, but if you had to pick the 5 that you believe are most important in the way that you live, work, conduct your life, what would those be? All right. It looks like we already have a few hands up. Are you volunteering to share some of your values? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay. Jump in. Go ahead.
Okay, so should I describe my values? Should I just tell them? Just lay
Yeah, if
them.
you just want to briefly give us maybe the list that you selected and maybe why.
Okay, so the five values that I chose were friendships, curiosity, fame, humor, and leadership. So I chose friendships because I'm really interested in the aspect of networking, making friends, and making connections that will, help me and the other person along the road and have a fulfilling and meaningful journey. Curiosity, because I'm always on the run looking for knowledge, always reading books. Fame, because I care about, because I actually really care about being looked upon. I want to be seen as an idol. Humor, because I naturally try to lighten up the mood of a conversation whenever I come on in. And leadership, because sometimes I feel like I naturally emerge as a leader in a lot of the groups that I come in. So, yes, those are my key five traits.
Wonderful. Thank you. How about Dhruv and is it Haya?
Yeah.
Hia. Okay, so we'll hear from is it Dhruv and then Hia?
Sure. So my five characteristics will be logic, curiosity, absence of blind belief, determination, and leadership. And it'll be because so I'll say I like finding my I like physics the most, and I believe that's based on logic. So I also don't like blind belief. I like understanding things, and I am quite curious about discovery. So, and therefore, they are my top values.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And Hia?
My five qualities are determination, optimism, humor, trustworthiness, and friendships. Now, why determination and optimism? Because I am always positive about everything that I do, even if like it's the last day before anything. I'm always optimist and like I always look. It's gonna happen nicely. It's gonna be good. There's no way you need to worry about anything. Why humor? Because anything and everything that I do is a little. Taking humor in consideration because I am not like a person who likes to sit and be boring. That's why. And friendships because that's really important in life. Those they pull you forward, and you can also do the same. And trustworthiness because anyone can trust me. I am really loyal at times.
Wonderful. Thank you. It sounds like those are a lot of strengths for you as well, which we'll also talk about in a moment. All right. Is it Vanshaz? No, Vanshaz.
No, no problem. No problem with that. So for me, my top five values would be optimism. First of all, because optimism is the fuel that will keep your vehicle going throughout the life. Learning, because learning is quite important throughout the life as you grow on. It is a key factor in your life. Friendships, because you need someone to be with, right? Then happiness, because at the end of life, that is what matters at all. And security and privacy, because you need it. It's just simple, you need it. It's human tendency that you require. Thank you.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Let's see, Adish and then Ujval and Nithya.
Yeah, so ma'am, they honestly saying there are more than five, but the top ones are freedom, fun, friendship, challenge, and love. So freedom and fun because anything you do, you should do with full freedom. You should not have anyone on your head to control you. So freedom should be there and fun. Obviously fun because any work you do, you should enjoy that because that's your life. And then friendship, yeah, you need support from others. Challenge. So what happens that challenges makes our lives more interesting. So challenge and love from our family members and others is a very important thing to go ahead. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, so for me, top the five core values that I've perpetually look upon in my life would be determination for sure first, because I have this resoluteness for my purpose in life. I just when I stick to a thing, it has to be accomplished for sure, and that too successfully. If it's not, I have that resilience to stand up again and do everything over with the same determination, with and not lagging any sort of resilientness. So second one would be knowledge, because this is something that will bind you together forever. Knowledge is not, it is not determined by age. Okay? Knowledge has to be coming through every minute of your life. No, knowledge is a actually knowledge and wisdom both go hand in hand to keep you driven in life, to keep you mission driven and keep you standing up on your legs forever. And the third one is leadership, because I want to be someone who is looked upon by someone like having gone through the same circumstances as me, having gone through the same life journey as me. So I would have the leadership values that I can inspire in people, and that I can make people manage. You know, I can just organize like have good organizational communication skills as well. So it will really help in my leadership. And then happiness is the cornerst value. It is first and foremost, because that is what at the end of the life will count. You know, all of these knowledge, leadership will go off, but what will stay with you is happiness. It's like an entire package of contentment for your life. You're enjoying your life. You're having a sense of freedom in what you're doing. That's one of the most primary things for me. And first is curiosity. You should be ever curiosity driven, so that you seek knowledge and purpose in your life, and are really successful in whatever you do. Curiosity is one of the most. I'm an eager beaver, sort of.
An eager
These
beaver. That's
five
great.
core values I really want to imbibe in my life.
That's wonderful. Just in the interest of time, I'm actually going to invite the rest of you, especially those who have their hands up. Would you mind typing your values into the chat window? We want to be able to hear from all of you, and unfortunately, we don't have time for everyone. So if you wouldn't mind, anyone who wants to share, go ahead and post your values in the chat window, and we'd love to see them there. So I'll give you a minute to do that. All right, success, leadership, love, creativity, and freedom from Vashika. Thank you. Wonderful. Some really fantastic values. Fun, faith, growth, success, and leadership from Ganesh. Challenge, trustworthy, happiness, learning, creativity. Love that. Wonderful. Well, while anyone else is typing, if you'd like to share your values, we're going to move on to the next exercise. And again, just want to reiterate how important it is to know your values and your beliefs, and to practice those with intention. Now, values and beliefs can certainly evolve over time as you learn, grow, experience the world, learn what's important to you. But the key is to consistently practice your conscious awareness of what you believe is important to you in your life, and ensure that your actions and your behaviors align with these values. That is the core to being an authentic entrepreneurial leader. So as we talked about, entrepreneurial leaders know their values and their value. So what's the value that you offer this world? Each and every one of you has unique talents, gifts, skills, a value that you offer this world. And just like knowing your values, it's really important to know your strengths, and to be able to lean into those strengths and to talk about those strengths. So I want you to spend a few minutes now to think about, so what are your top 3 strengths? So these would be, think about maybe natural talents. Like, what are some of the strengths that you were just naturally born with? What are 3 unique skills that over time you've really had to work at, you've learned and developed? So for example, For some of you, it might be coding. Not for me, I'm not a coder. But coding might be a skill that you've learned or developed over time. Think about experiences that you've had and skills that you've picked up through those experiences. And then finally, if you asked your closest friends, maybe family members, to use 3 words to describe you, what would those 3 words be? So we'll take a few minutes now just to jot down your answers to each of these 3 questions. All right, it looks like we have 3 or 4 of you who are already ready to share, so thank you. And then I will invite anyone else who wants to share, just in the interest of time, to go ahead and use the chat function and share whether you want to, share strengths or skills or words that friends would use to describe you. So let's see. I think Harsh, you had your hand up first.
So, like you said, in the interest of time, we'll just list out the strengths and everything. So, top 3 strengths are determination, logical consistency, and leadership. 3 skills that I developed were: number 1 is conscientiousness, very important. Coding, I learned coding when I was like 14. And then teamwork, because I was ever since I was a kid, I would I was an individualistic. So, and 3 words that my friends would describe me as: extroverted, funny, and ambitious. I'm an open book, so these are very interconnected.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, and so important to know that. Is it Adish?
Yes, ma'am. So the strengths are leadership, making friends, physical fitness. Developed skills are cricket, gaming, and drawing. Description could be, maybe, I'm not sure, but a bit of naughty, active, and funny. Yeah, that's that.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Ujwal?
So the 3 strengths are good at studies, I'm a quick learner, and I'm good at communication and speaking. Then the three skills which I've developed is quick mental maths, cooking, and vast knowledge on cheese. I love cheese, and I'm a foodie person. And the three things which my friends may like describe me is a loyal friend, a funny person, and even a nerd.
Great, thank you. Hia?
The strengths that I previously mentioned were, and that's the same, like trustworthy, determined, and also responsible. For the unique skills, I have also done a little coding. Then I have done over the years a little drama of Trinity. Also, I have given and venturing about new things. That's the most important thing which I think I have learned. And three words would be cheerful, focused, and I'm a little jocular, as I already mentioned.
Great, thank you. All right, we have time for a couple more. So looks like Akshat and Bharat shared some of theirs in the chat window. So thank you so much. Love reading those. So let's go with Vansha and then Vishika.
Well, to mention natural talents, well, natural qualities, I'll say, it would be honesty, simplicity, and a quick grasp of things. The skills which I have developed recently are programming things, then creativity in terms of writing, and my vocals, like in terms of singing. And the words my friends would use to describe me are passionate, humorous, and confident.
Wonderful, thank you. And Vishika?
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. So my top three strengths would be first of all poetry, obviously, and then creativity in general, and then after that, I would say public speaking, ma'am. And then three unique skills that I've learned and developed would be again public speaking, and I know how to talk to people, and publishing. I have experience over there. And three words my friends would used to describe me would be persistent, a little bit of dark maybe, and then creative. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And if anyone else didn't get a chance to share aloud, please go ahead and post in the chat window. It's really wonderful to hear each of you describe your strengths and skills and words that friends would use to describe you. And I think it's so important to know these things for a couple of reasons. So one, it's important to be able to talk about your strengths and be able to articulate those and draw those to experiences. Whether that might be in a job interview or maybe you're interviewing for a school or a project, but really important to be able to articulate your skills and your strengths. And then also you want to place yourself in environments where you can thrive. So being able to identify our talents and our strengths and bring those forward. So if you're working on a group project, for example, and you know that you have team leadership skills. Maybe you have an opportunity to step up and help lead the team. But really important that you know your strengths, your skills, and you practice those. And you place yourself in environments that help you continue to really hone those strengths and practice those skills. So the next exercise that we're gonna wrap up with, and then we're gonna leave a little time at the end for any questions that you all might have. So I know this is something that I've heard many of you talk about today is important to you. You're passionate. You have a sense of purpose. And it's really important for entrepreneurial leaders to be mission driven, as we talked about. So being intentional and thinking about what it is that you love to do. Since you're part of the Career Cafe and part of Belong, I'm sure you all are familiar with the concept of Ikigai. I know that that's a principle that is often taught. So this is very similar, right? Thinking about what it is that you love to do. And one way to imagine that is when you feel most energized or alive, what is it that brings you that energy or life? What do you love to do? The next question is, what do you care about? If you had an opportunity to make a difference or impact in the world, what difference would you want to make? And then finally, if money were no object, you could do or be anything, what would you do? And again, as we think about our purpose, we also think about, our strengths and what does the world need? So, what can we offer this world based on what we care about, what we believe, the strengths that we can really leverage to create value in the world? That is the core. It's core to being an entrepreneurial leader. Again, whether you're launching your own venture or whether you're pursuing the path of becoming an artist or an activist or going to work for an organization. So take a few minutes now and go ahead and fill out the answers to these questions and just kind of reflect on, what you believe, you love, you care about, and if you could do or be anything, what would it be? All right, I see a few hands up already, and go ahead if you'd like to share in the chat window, please do. I see Akshat shared that enjoy solving a problem, seeing opportunity where others sees nothing. That is an excellent skill. Care about learning. You want to be able to facilitate an open flow of ideas and knowledge of the world, and you would definitely still want to be a computer scientist because you love it. Well, that is wonderful to love that. All right, I'll ask for a couple volunteers to share aloud. Let's see, who haven't we heard from recently? Let's see, Adish, I see your hand up, and Nithya.
Yeah, so what do I love to do and what I'm doing when I feel most energized and alive? So I would play cricket with my friends. And what do I care about? So I care about the future, that what would happen of this earth, because what do I want to make this world? So I want to stop pollution, and when I mean pollution, then it could be any kind, such as plastic, air pollution, water pollution. So I would try to stop that, and if I could do be anything and the money was no object, so for my point of view, that would be the best world. Everyone should help each other and just enjoy their life without any pressure or burden. So I think that is what I would do.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Nithya?
Yeah, I would love to share. So the first one, what I would love to do, and the things in which I feel the most energized or alive is when I when I follow my passion. My passion lies in dance, playing instruments, and also I love leadership. So when I'm leading a group of people, I feel myself that I can do it, and I have those skills to manage those people. Now it be problem solving or managing them or efficiently, innovating stuff. So I would love to be a leader, innovative entrepreneur or something. But I will feel the most energized in there. And the thing which the next one was now, I think, thing which in which um, I feel, what was the second one now?
Yeah, what you care about or the impact you want to create in the world.
I want to create a huge difference in people's life. Now it be in whichever way I want to, if I want to start up a tech organization, I want to, I believe that machines have a huge impact in delivering a difference in people's lives. And I have the qualities to deliver those impacts. So I think I would love to create a difference in other people's life by starting up an organization or something which can create their life considerably easier to live. And the third one, where I don't care about money. I just want to follow my passion. I just want to do something where I feel alive in myself. And now that is not considered, and that's not concerned with money at all. Money is just the byproduct of whatever you do. And if I had the money, I would set up a non-profit organization for helping up the poor people. If I just have the compassion to not be able to see others suffering. So I would just start up a non-profit giving an organization, just like the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. If I had the resources, probably. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's a beautiful combination when you can do something that you love, something that you're good at, and something that the world needs. So if you find that combination, that is a winning combination. All right, who else wants to share? So Ujval and Harsh?
Okay, so I think I listed them out in the chat, but I'll let you guys know. So I love to do public speaking. I love it when I'm on the stage. I feel most alive when I'm talking about my ideas, or sometimes when I'm figuring them out while I'm on the stage. What I care about, critical thinking. I feel like this world needs more ideas, more better ideas. I think it's important to be able to think straight without having your emotions to take a hold of you, and offer good insights for not just business or startups, but things in general. You have to be more, logically oriented. What would I like to do? Be a trainer or a teacher or a professor.
Excellent. Thank you. And Ujval?
So I love to do is taste and eat different type of food, and if I love it, it makes me very happy. And then what do I care and what do I want to change is I would travel around the world and spread all types of foods in the big countries. So let's say from if I am from Japan, I will go from Japan. If I come to US, I will spread the Japanese food in USA. And if there was no money, I would build up, like, I'm straightforward. I love, like, I have a dream to have my own mansion, have Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Rolls Royce, and Bentleys.
That's a great dream. Thank you for sharing. All right, so Vansha and then Vishika and Dhruv, and then we'll wrap it up there.
And so what I love to do is I love to code and solve puzzles, solve problems. Basically, puzzles are problems. So solve problems. And what I want to do is, see, there are several jobs which are quite menial and they require extreme amount of manual work. I want to help people replace them with machines so that human doesn't have to do quite menial work. And inspired by Steve Jobs' quote, being the richest man in cemetery doesn't matter to me. Going to bed at night saying that we've done something wonderful, that's what matters to me. So even if money was no object, I'd still love to be what I want to be, which is a tech entrepreneur and nothing else.
Wonderful. Thank you. Vishika and then Dhruv?
Yes, mom. So what I love to do is writing. I feel most alive when I'm writing poetry and all. And what I care about is writing. I suppose it's not as important as saving starving kids in Africa, but there's so much bad literature in the world, and if I can change even a little bit of that, it would make me happy. And if money did not exist, I would be a writer, because the only thing giving me second thoughts about pursuing writing in the future is because writers don't really earn that much because capitalism. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dhruv, did you still want to share?
No, Mas, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Oh, I just muted myself. So thank you to each of you who shared, and also in the chat. Again, just really love reading, your answers and what you care about in the world and what you love to do. So we're going to wrap up our time here. I'm going to send you away with your own exercise that I will invite you to do on your own. And James, if I could have you pull back up the last slide. Thank you. So goal setting, I think, is something really important for each of us to do. I encourage each of you after this workshop to take some time, maybe think 3 to 5 years out, so not too long from now, to think about your pathway to entrepreneurial leadership and what are some key steps that you're going to take to help you advance on your path to your entrepreneurial leadership and to creating that impact that you want to create in the world. And are you familiar with SMART goals? So goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So as you're jotting down these goals, think about, is this goal specific? Is it measurable? Can it be attained? Can I achieve it? And is it relevant? And what's the time bound that I'm setting? And if you'd like, I would invite you to email me your answers, or if you'd prefer, email your answers to one of your friends or colleagues here in this program. But pick an accountability buddy and maybe check in 6 months or a year and see how you're doing on those goals. And so you have this packet to take with you. Feel free to spend time, on your own, or if you want to form groups amongst yourselves to go through this last exercise and share among yourselves. I invite you to do that. And then James, if you'll flip forward to the last slide. So we want to hear from you. What's your path to entrepreneurial leadership? And these are 2 ways to reach out and share with us. You can contact me on LinkedIn. Or you can email me directly. Feel free to email me. This is my email address here, and we would love to hear from you. So I wanted to leave a few minutes at the end for any questions or thoughts, any discussion that you all might like to have. So James, if you want to pull down the slide so I can see everyone's faces, thank you. Does anyone have questions for me about entrepreneurial leadership, about anything that we talked about today? So, Ujjwal?
I have this question, like you must have now known that I am I love food a lot. So how do I have this question that how do I go further in this age so that I am able to achieve my goal, the goal which I wrote to change the world?
Yes,
How
and
do I go?
Yeah, and so I think the importance of, and we like to call it our why. So when I talk about my why, it's inspiring others to reach their greatest potential so they can create impact in the world. There are a variety of ways that I can do that. Education is just one way that purpose or that why can manifest itself. So I'd encourage you to start by thinking about, what do you care about and what kind of impact do you want to think or create in the world, and what are the different ways that you might be able to do it. So for me, education is just one, but there might be other ways that I can inspire others to create impact in the world, like perhaps even within my own family. So I would encourage you to think about different pathways and know that especially now is your opportunity to explore. As you're in high school, as you start to enter the college years, those are the best time to explore what you care about, explore what you're good at, where you can really build strengths, and then kind of carve out your own pathway. Probably one of my biggest takeaways in working with students like yourselves is the realization that you have the opportunity to write your own story and create your own path. So what's that path going to be? So if you're passionate and you care about food, for example, and that's a way to serve others, how can you bring that passion or vision to life? Or for me, I'll use this as an example. I'm really passionate about adventure. Like adventure is something that I value across both my personal and professional life. My daily job isn't, running an adventure company, but the work that I get to do feels very adventurous. Also, pre-COVID, I used to travel a lot. in my job. And so there was an adventure aspect of my job where I got to travel to India and meet amazing students like yourselves. And I got to experience different cultures and different foods through my work, even though that wasn't like my primary role. So there's different ways to integrate your passions into the work that you do. So hopefully that's helpful. I think Mahak, I saw your hand up next.
Yeah, this might be a slightly controversial question. I don't know, but it's valuable to me. Like how does entrepreneurship, especially as a college major, helps you? Yeah, that would be the simplest way. Like, wouldn't the doing the actual thing help you more than learning theoretically about it?
I love that question. So I have an opinion. I have an opinion on this. I think, regardless of your major or your career path, that entrepreneurship and engaging in entrepreneurship education can be a really valuable resource for any of you. And we believe that through the Lehigh NasdaqCenter because we see that engaging in entrepreneurial learning experiences can help you develop really critical mindsets and skills like curiosity, like self-efficacy, like the ability to recognize opportunities and create solutions to solve problems. Everything I just named is important whether you go to work for an established organization or whether you're launching your own venture. So I think the ability to get hands-on learning experience through entrepreneurship. So what you're doing right now, so important. Having the opportunity to intern with global startups, super important because you're getting exposed to the entrepreneurial process and you're developing mindsets and skills, you're learning the ability to embrace risks, failure, etc., and learning from other entrepreneurial leaders that I think will be beneficial to you regardless of your career path. So seeing it as an opportunity to invest in your own learning and growth and development and just try things, I think is part of the spirit of entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Let's see, Harsh.
So I have a question regarding leadership, right? So when you're a leader of a team, or let's say you're managing something, there's obviously conflict that's going to arise. So how do you, as a leader, tackle situations like that, or what interpersonal skills do you really need so that you can, take everyone with you and prevent all those conflicts and, put your opinions. So, you understand, right? Like,
Yes.
take everyone with you and prevent conflict.
Yeah, no. So conflict management, conflict resolution is something that's really important to practice in leadership. There's whole degrees created around conflict resolution. But any leader can manage conflict. And I think what's super important. So we've talked a lot about communication skills. So having open, transparent, ongoing communication with your teams is a way to manage and navigate conflict. I think always really important to understand is first seek to understand and then be understood. So when there's conflict, you want to understand others' perspectives, and so that will help you understand where they're coming from, and then you can have an open and honest dialogue. And conflict can be good when it's respectful, right? You can have healthy conflict, especially if you're trying to come up with the solution or an answer, ideas to a problem. It's great to have discussion and debate, but do so, create a safe space for your team, a safe environment to where you welcome different opinions, different ideas, and that doesn't necessarily mean negative conflict, but you invite discourse and dialogue and you're understanding where everybody's coming from. But then ultimately you got to move towards a decision and make a call because you don't want conflict to burden you with no resolution or outcome. So finding solutions that are sometimes also mutually beneficial or best for the situation at hand, and sometimes it's up to the leader to really help decipher that for the team. Did that help answer your question?
You just have to empathize, right?
Empathize. Oh yes, I'm so glad you mentioned empathy is a core attribute of the entrepreneurial mindset. So yes, definitely, being able to empathize with others is certainly important in that seeking understanding and having productive dialogue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Akshat.
Hi, I had a question regarding entrepreneurship. Whenever you're making something to deploy it to a lot of people, how there's a lot of things that will be involved in it that you're not good at. For example, if you're building a website, you may be not good at web development. So, what do you do if you don't have a network and you want to build something that affects a lot of people?
Yeah, that's a great question. One key aspect is to build a team around you who can help complement. So you mentioned, for example, if you don't have the technical software coding abilities, but you're trying to build something, go find somebody who does. And so building the right team is important. And then if you don't have a network, everyone has the opportunity to build a network. So think about, how you can leverage your connections, the relationships that you're building to build out that network. You can seek mentors. For us, we often encourage our students to reach out to alumni in our community who are always willing to help. But I think definitely surrounding yourself with people who can kind of complete the picture of skills and building the right team, having advisors who can connect you to other networks where you need to be connected. And so, LinkedIn, we always tell our students LinkedIn's a great resource for reaching out and building your network, doing informational interviews. So there's different ways that you can approach, leveraging the connections you have today, maybe even if they're just kind of warm connections, to build out that network. And then also the talent piece around knowing what skills you lack, which is totally okay. No entrepreneur has every skill in the book, but you need to find a good partner who can complement you and can build out those skills, find good team members who can bring unique skills to the table to help.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Nithya?
Yeah, so one last question. So, when you encounter the term entrepreneurship, we're just forming this vague idea that it's just related to business leadership and all. But as much as I've learned from this workshop, in entrepreneurship can be implemented everywhere. But how can it be implemented everywhere? Is the reality behind it? If you're a doctor, how are you you have those skills inside you that are budding you as an entrepreneur, but you just don't have the profession that really will make you implement all those skills. So how can we implement all these skills everywhere we go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you view entrepreneurship as a mindset, so we talk a lot about the entrepreneurial mindset. So key attributes like self-efficacy, like resilience, like the ability to apply empathy and compassion in your work. The ability to identify problems as opportunities and to create solutions with value for others. Can you imagine any profession, and those are just to name a few, but can you imagine any profession where all of those attributes would be important? Take an artist, for example, right? I use artists because I love art. I love artists, and I believe at the core they're entrepreneurs. And similarly, with doctors are creating value for others. They have to employ empathy and compassion in their work. They have to be creative and innovative to stay on top of, right, the latest trends and advancements in medical technologies and innovations. So I think really and it doesn't just have to be a career path. I think you can be entrepreneurial in school. Think about projects you're working on. So I think the short answer, to sum it up, is if you think about entrepreneurship or the entrepreneurial mindset and some of the key attributes of what it means to be an entrepreneurial leader, you can pretty much implement those attributes across a variety of settings.
Very true. So you just gotta have that entrepreneurial mindset, and it will automatically, it will automatically manifest itself wherever you go, right? Now it
Yes, and And I think there's some intentionality to it as well. If you know what some of the core attributes of an entrepreneurial mindset, some might come naturally, and others you might need to work on a little bit more. Like being open to taking risks and embracing failure may or may not be part of the culture of where you come from. Even in the United States, there's a big difference between the culture on the East Coast and the culture on the West Coast with risk tolerance and embracing failure. So I think opening your mind and sort of that learning and growing can certainly help you bring forward that entrepreneurial mindset in whatever you do.
Thank you so much. It really helped a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there, I think, one last question, and I think we might need to wrap up. Dhruv, did you have a question?
Yes, miss. So my question was that I'm currently part of a team, and we're making the startup. Sort of, we're making this website that provides education, but with a different standpoint. So the thing is that I joined with front end development skills. However, somebody else can also do the same work, and I will not have time in the long run to actually carry out the same thing. How can I remain productive and valuable to the team and not lose my importance in the team as a co-founder?
Yeah, so I think if I understood what you said, that you have some similar skills and abilities that one of your co-founders also has, and you want to make sure that you're continuing to add value and stay relevant. Did I get that correctly?
Yes, he has those skills as well as others, and he has more time than me, which is why I become obsolete to the team. So I want to just ensure that I'm productive, that I'm helpful to them, and I'm still part of the organization.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. No, I think, a lot of people are tapped for time. I think an important skill is the ability to manage your time and to make sure that you're able to allocate the time that's necessary to the startup to be contributing, and just to kind of balance and manage the different tasks and commitments that you have to demonstrate time management. It might mean that at certain phases of life you might have to put more time all around to a variety of things that you're working on. But constantly be curious and find ways that you can create value and you can leverage your strengths, your skills, your experiences, and also your perspective. Everyone brings a unique perspective to the table, and so that's a fantastic way to add value, is just bringing your perspective, bringing your ideas, caring about what it is that you're working on. Maybe you can play a leadership role, a team motivator. But I think, finding kind of your role within the team and where you can add value, and recognize that, other team members, you want them to bring forward their strengths that, you get to learn from and grow from as well. And, just having that kind of that team dynamic that is sort of well-rounded, and knowing that everyone might play a leadership role at some time, others might play a support role at some time, but just kind of knowing what you can bring to the table, and having dialogue. Communication, super important in any kind of entrepreneurial team. Just having communication, checking in with your co-founders, asking for feedback is a gift. So the ability to also ask for feedback, but continue to find ways that you can really leverage your strengths and your passions to bring forward and create value in whatever it is that you're working on.
Thank you for your help. That was very helpful.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank each of you. You have been absolutely wonderful. It has been my treat to spend this morning, your evening, with you, getting to know you and talking about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, entrepreneurial leadership. So I invite any of you that want to connect with me afterwards, if you want to follow up, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to email me. I look forward to learning more about your entrepreneurial journeys, and I'm so confident that each of you are going to go out and create real impact in the world, and I've been inspired by you today. So thank you for allowing me to share this time with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you very
It
much.
was actually our pleasure.
Very, very impressive, very significant to us.
Thank you.
A lot of difference in our mindsets. Thank you so much.
Sam, I took 2 seconds before I spoke because I was very sure the students would have a lot to thank you for, and I'm sure my team as well as I think same. It has been a great interactive session, and every second seemed to be fruitful. And even I was working on some of the exercises, so really thank you for that. Thank you, students. I hope you really enjoyed it, and we look forward to your feedback, the feedback form that we'll share with you. So please do that. Thank you so much. And Sam, if you can stay back for a while, that'll be great. Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, thank you so
Bye,
much.
ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank
Bye,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, miss. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
All right, great. So Yash is from my team itself. Sam, I really loved it. Any thoughts, any thoughts that you were left with about the students? And also, if we can start record, I mean, it is already being recorded. So this, if you want to go unofficially, that's okay. But yes, if you want this to be a part of your post-session talk, that's also fine.
No, either way, I really enjoyed that. There certainly was a group of the students that were really engaged and just so inspiring. It's always fun to learn from and be inspired by the students. And I was really impressed by the interaction and their willingness they had their hands raised before I even had to call on them, which was amazing. I love that. I love the excitement and the willingness to kind of engage with the content.
Great. I think that's the feedback that we regularly get from the experts whom we call you. These are a bunch of really super excited students, always excited to meet experts like you. So thank you so much for the session, Sam. I know you have another meeting to jump on, and we've already held you for 14 more minutes. So thank you so
Yes, no
much.
worries. It was an honor. It really was. Thanks for the opportunity to work and meet these students. I'm so impressed. So hopefully there are ways that I can stay engaged with what their paths and journeys are. How long is the program that they're doing?
Well, they're in the 5th week, so the 8 weeks. No, they're not in the 5th week. They're almost in the 6th week now. So
Okay.
they have the final pitching on around 28th of July, 23rd or
Amazing.
28th of July. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what a great group. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you, James. Thank you for being here and providing the support.
No, thank you. It's a great group.
All
Take
right.
care.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.